Evening all, welcome to Space Engineers. Right, how to frame this. I'm afraid it's all gone really wrong. You're probably looking at that ship thinking, hang on a minute, that's not what we've seen up to this point, is it? No, it's not. Let me explain. I've been building my wonderful ship, and basically I went to go log in to that map, and the map has become corrupted. And so I loaded the backup because I had a backup, right? Yeah, everyone has a backup. That's also been corrupted as well. So yeah, basically I've lost my main map. So we're going to recover it. Don't worry, bro. We are going to recover it. For the time being, because it's not as easy as it sounds, you got to go and code things like the Matrix. So I've kind of been just playing my old map. So this is the one that I created in creative. And I'm now playing with this. So please don't hate me. It's for a good reason. Seriously, I could not get it working again. I spent hours trying to get it working. So we're back using the original flagship. But it's an interesting video nonetheless. So don't stop watching just yet, because you'll notice that when I loaded this thing up, I had thrusters set to do the new damage that they do, and it ripped half my ship apart. So the following videos, the video presentation you're about to see, is actually me repairing it, which is actually quite an interesting thing to watch. So you're going to see that. Now we've also blown out half of the engines on the back. So you see there, those are the three that are working. On the other side, not so good. And you can see here all the damage that it's done. It's just wrecked half the ship. So there was a little bit of nerddom going on in my squeeing little brain, because actually I do have the fun part of now repairing this ship. And repairing seems to be something that you'll end up doing quite a lot of. We've lost our engines, so they're going to be incredibly costly to replace, because large engines particularly are not the easiest things to build. And we're going to have to redesign this on the fly. So that is what I present to you now. Apologies for the, I guess, the balls up. I don't know what happened. I know I read on the forums, the Steam forums, that you can corrupt a save file in this game, and it can almost be impossible to recover it. So I'm hoping that's not entirely the case, but to fix it, I basically need to go in and fiddle with the code. So I'm going to wait until I've got a good weekend to do that. So for now, let's enjoy repairing our original flagship. Now, it's an enjoyable thing doing this, because one of the key things that I built this ship actually with the view to always play the game in survival with this ship. So this to me is fun, and this is certainly one of the funner things that I've been looking forward to do. But already the design, the changing mechanics of the game mean that this design is ultimately flawed. So you see those side-firing retros there, they're damaging the ship every time I move. So just literally getting in this ship, everything went bang. And all of the systems went red, and I had a big problem. Now, it's just because the retros were burning through the plates into the ship's systems and causing the ship to basically explode, which didn't go so good. So this is really, I guess, part of the thing to bear in mind now is a lot of the old designs, like having internal engines that face each other so they look pretty cool. That's a long dead done thing now. You can't. Well, you can set it so it doesn't damage with retros, but that's unrealistic. So for now, we're going to show you, obviously with that on, and you can see we're kind of repairing what is just fundamentally quite a bit of damage, sadly as well, because we've lost 3 main engines. We've lost our retros at the front. They just literally took out the front hanger. When I literally started to slow down, the whole front hanger just went poof, gone. So yeah, that was my first thing to start rebuilding that. And as you can see, that's going to be fun, and that's going to be quite a long thing to fix. So anyway, we'll crack on with that probably at a later date. But I think certainly already I'm a bit kind of, as you can see, I'm now starting to work it out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to decommission these engines so they're not working. So you see that? We take it under the red line so they no longer work, okay? And that means that they won't then cause damage. So let's come into our wonderful bay. Now this is also kind of broken. None of our reactors work, which isn't good. But yet when we come through to our open area here, our refinery et al. Is kind of working. As you can see, we've been making some bits. And everything seems to be kind of a-okay there. Now, let's move forward. In our... okay, let me explain that. one of the fighters that I had in my bay, its landing gear ripped off under severe acceleration, taking a bit of the hull, so there's a great big hole in the hull, and it proceeded to fire this into the back wall. So this thing is kind of, well, it's not dead, but it's lost its cockpit and it's useless at the moment. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating to have to kind of repair all of this, but it's also, I mean, not frustrating, I guess. It's fun, to be honest, but it's just an annoyance that I didn't really plan to do. And as you can see, in survival, you're going to need all these parts, so parts are going to become part of the process of this. And as you can see, basically, we're going to have to then make our refinery quite important. Luckily, I've been building parts as just, the first thing I did when I got into the map was I went and mined with an older mining vessel, which again, kind of exploded when I put my retros on. And it listed gently into the rock, so I had to repair that as well. But again, it's fun stuff. It's, you know, literally flying along, if you imagine flying from the flagship, which is kind of in deep space at the moment. And it's probably a good 30-second trip to the nearest asteroid. So under full thrust, it's fine. But when you kind of think to yourself, right, I'll just take my finger off the accelerator now and let the retros kick in and slow me down. And you take your finger off and you see the ship shake, and then the ship doesn't slow down, and you're thinking, that's not right, as an asteroid very quickly approaches you. So it is pretty terrifying, I can tell you. And just with things like this, I mean, look at this, having to repair these ships is, I mean, it's kind of fun. You know, the nerd in me is enjoying this because, you know, having to kind of, you know, fix things. It's very engineering, and I think that's kind of, I'm really glad that they have left this in. They've left this kind of fact that the ship and the ships you create do need maintenance. That's really quite fun element. And what we're doing here is we're kind of then just fixing the cockpit so we can actually move this bloody thing. But other than that, everything's kind of going all right. Thankfully, the refinery and the assembler are set up well, so they worked from day one. I mean, if I don't know how I'd have done that if they didn't. But thankfully they do. So a lot of this is just really kind of, I guess, setting up the ship so they work. So, for example, the reason this snapped free was because the landing gear wasn't strong enough. There's only one connecting. So this ship accelerating under incredible speed with quite powerful engines, I might add. When you start to decelerate, or rather just the acceleration itself, you know, through this thing all the way into the back wall. As you can see, it's dented the whole back wall. But it's still serviceable. Look, it's still moving. Still, you know, it's not entirely dead, so it's salvageable. So this is a good thing in general. So what we'll do there is we'll probably fix that maybe at a later date. Certainly look at the floor and what happened there. I mean, it just ripped off the landing gear stanchion. It just ripped and it took half the floor with it. So yeah, I like that. I'm actually quite impressed with that. So I don't know, something about that makes me smile. And the repairing the floor doesn't require any materials, as you can see, unless you really break it. Now, I have lost a few panels on the floor, so that's going to take a bit of repairing, but it's not excessive. And, you know, again, it's kind of about doing this kind of thing anyway. The game is around, you know, engineering and building and repairing and maintaining. And I think certainly when you have a ship of this size and a ship of this complexity as well, it's going to take, you know, you can't just build it and then fly it around and think it's going to be fine, because the ship naturally stresses under acceleration, for example. So parts of the plates buckle. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I always like the thought of that. So if you gently accelerate, then you don't get these problems. If you put your foot down and you kind of YOLO it into the distance, then, you know, you're going to get this kind of plate buckling, as you see. Also, I would say that one of the things that really I did not understand is the change to thrusters, obviously, as you've seen, has also caused a phenomenal amount of damage to this ship. I actually had to move a thruster forward before I could even move the thing. Which again wasn't the wisest thing to do. I probably should have spent more time with that, but again, I didn't know that I had hidden retro thrusters in the ass of this ship. So as soon as those things got underway, kablow, and it took out the rear engines, a whole cluster of, you know, fecking rear engines. So that's going to take, I mean, seriously, it takes a long time to build those things. I don't even have the resources to build those deck plates, so we're going to leave them as frames. But look at that. I mean, effectively, you know, this thing is I must have incorrectly landed this thing, so it's kind of, again, it's my own fault. I'm not blaming anyone but myself. But we'll probably go with just the one. I see it's got 3, and in theory 3 should do it. But again, who knows? You know, if it happens again, then we'll put 4 on it. One thing I would say is if you do this and you have fighters, power them down before you speed away, and you shouldn't have any of these problems. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Join us next time as we continue the repair and rebuild of the mighty flagship. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.